everyone. We have Dr. Wilnic Gideon from the Everett Public Schools. He is a principal here in the state of Washington, not to be confused with Washington, D.C. And we are super excited to have him on the show. So Dr. Gideon, can you tell us what's going on in your life and in your K-12 career right now?
Sure. Yes. I'm a principal at a middle school in Everett, Washington. I am in my second year as a principal, and I'm enjoying every bit of the time that I'm in my second year. The first year was a challenge. Students were coming back during from the pandemic and starting to go back up, from going from virtual to in person. But I enjoyed that aspect of it, even though it was a challenging time, and just to see the growth from the students already. Super excited about this year.
That's awesome. So how many students are at your school, Dr. Gideon?
Right now we have just shy of 900 students.
Wow, that's a big middle school.
Yep.
Wow, just for reference, I mean, I'm at a high school and we have about 1,100 students, and we're at a high school, which is one grade more. We have 4 grade levels, you have 3 grade levels. So yeah, that's a pretty big middle school. So how many administrators do you have working with you?
2. We have 2 this year. Last year we had 1. So thank you for our superintendent for being able to give us an extra AP at the middle school level.
That's awesome. So demographically speaking, like what's the breakdown of your school?
Demographically speaking, we're about, I'd say 50% students of color and 50% of students that, white students.
Absolutely. So that's kind of like a majority minority school, but split right down the middle.
Down the middle, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I've had the opportunity to visit Everett, and just for geographical purposes, for those of you that are watching and listening, Everett is kind of like a suburb of Seattle. I know they probably don't like us to say that, but yeah, most people have heard of Seattle. So if you've heard of Seattle, it's about 30 miles north of Seattle. So it's really close. So even though I live in Seattle, I'm always up in Everett because, y'all got good places to eat and shop and stuff like that. So yeah, so those of you that are watching, just so for reference speaking. So are you originally from here, Dr. Gideon?
No, I'm actually originally from Florida. I worked in Palm Beach County, Florida, where I was an assistant principal and a dean for about 8 years. I taught mathematics there as well.
Okay.
I'm in my 10th year in administration. But after I moved to Washington, I actually went to Bellevue School District for a year, and then my second year with Everett.
That's awesome. So how many years have you been in K-12 education?
This is my 13th year in K-12 education.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man. So did you always have designs on being a school administrator, or did you, like most of us, just get in the profession to be a teacher?
Yeah, I think I always wanted to be an administrator for the most part, to see if I can have the most impact to student achievement.
Oh, okay.
When I was in college, my first year in college, I did a shadow day for some high school students in West Gaston, Florida.
Okay.
And I basically saw that as an opportunity for me to kind of support, try to be a support to them because they had similar backgrounds from my experience. And, but then I was like, I don't want to just be a teacher, which is a great field in itself, but I wanted to be in a position so I can support them the most that I can.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. So, man, you've been an administrator, you've been a principal for the last 2 years. Like, if I were to not see you for the next 5 years, where would I see Dr. Gideon? Would you still be in Washington? Would you still be a principal?
Yeah, I would love to continue at the school that I'm at as a principal in the next 5 years. I want to see the progression of my students and try to make an impact to everything.
No, that's really, really cool. So, one of the things that, I feel like has been a challenge for the state of Washington as a whole is, attracting people that look like me and you to this state. Like, what would you say to someone that, is Black or brown, that is really potentially considering coming to a great state like Washington? What would you say to them about the opportunities that might be available, not only as an administrator, but even as a teacher?
I think there's a network of administrators that through AWSP. I know they're working on the aspect of trying to increase the support for leaders of color. And, you know, just having that network and the support has been huge for me as a, you know, new to Washington, as an administrator in Washington. And, you know, and a couple of other things that they provide is like mentorships and a variety of different opportunities. And then within the district themselves, I also noticed that I worked in both Bellevue and Everett, being able to have the support of a mentor within your own district. So that's kind of new, and I think it's very good to see that you know, that they really do support the administrators here in Washington. Yeah,
they really, really do. You're right. I mean, what about teachers? I know that one of the things, when I even think back to when I first moved here, and I've been here, this is my 4th year in the state of Washington. I actually came here from the state of Missouri. I just felt like just financially, it was a challenge, you know, to get settled here. Not, you know, once I started getting paid and all that, I was fine. But just the challenge of moving, because, you know, geographically speaking, we're talking about the pretty much as far as you can get, you know, West Coast wise. So if you're moving from as far as you were moving from in Florida, and even me in the Midwest, that's a nice little hump. Like, how do we address those challenges? Because even with some of the teachers that I've reached out to, because we try to connect with, you know, HBCUs, we try to really, you know, recruit people of color to come to Washington, but we have found that that has been one of our challenges, is the financial piece.
Yeah, I think there's a fear of, you know, the cost of living here. But I do think that the state of Washington do a better job, you know, supporting educators here, you know, as financially speaking, and, you know, with healthcare and all of those different, the additional benefits with those items as well. I think Washington does a really good job respecting their educators and making sure that they feel good financially as well.
You're right about that, for sure. Teachers and administrators. We just went through bargaining with our teachers. No teachers are hurting from a financial perspective, you know, in terms of just being able to take care of themselves. But I guess my question is, like, if you had to do it all over again, going way back 13 years earlier, if you could go back to the beginning when you started your K-12 career, would you still have become a K-12 educator?
Yeah, I think I would. I think the profession is a rewarding profession. And, you know, even though I had sacrificed a lot, I remember in my schooling when I was trying to become an administrator and I was, you know, going to get my master's degree, you know, I slept on a couch for 3 years, you know, as I was, slept on a couch, on my mom's couch, and going to school. I was coaching. I was trying to do whatever I can to support my students, but also trying to make sure that I was an example for them. Sure. And so I think there's a reason why I'm in this profession through all the different experiences that I've had, to be able to, you know, show people that you can make it through whatever obstacles you go through. Sure. And so, yeah, I wouldn't change it. I think it's rewarding, and I'm able to speak to my experiences and be able to be relatable to my students and family.
That's cool. Has all of your experience been at the middle school level?
No, actually, I started math. I was teaching math at Griffin Middle School in Tallahassee, Florida, after I graduated from Florida State.
Seminole in the house. Okay.
Yeah. I was an intern at the school, Griffin Middle, and Miss Gwendolyn Thomas gave me an opportunity. I was teaching one of the hardest classes because there was like, 4 preps. And, and the kids ran out a lot of those teachers at that school. And so it was in the middle of the year, had this opportunity. So I was able to teach mathematics at Tallahassee. So started in middle school for 1.5 years, and then went to high school for the last basically 10.5 years, and came back to middle school. So it's like full circle back to where I started.
That's true. Well, one of the great things about working in high school, I always thought that this was a benefit, even when I was a middle school principal, was the fact that when you go back to the middle school, if you've had that experience at the high school, you know how to prepare those kids, because you know what's waiting on them when they get to high school. And so, yeah, that's really cool that you have both of those experiences. So, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit of your experiences with us as it relates to K-12 education. But what does the future hold for Dr. Gideon? I mean, do you see yourself staying a principal? Do you see yourself at some point going to the district level? What kind of goals do you have for yourself?
For now, I would love to just, work in my campus right now, stay as a principal for now. Maybe in the future, 15, 20 years down the line, I'll look into those opportunities at district level, or, pretty much the district level, or maybe the state level.
Okay.
Right now, I'm just hanging out with the kids and trying to motivate them and get them acclimated. I don't want to move until I know that I have made a difference. And so I'm taking my time and just making sure that the kids are learning every day.
That's cool. That's cool. So do you have any stories for us, maybe some teachers or administrators that had a really big impact on your own life?
Yeah, I think I've had multiple administrators that I worked under that kind of really shaped who I am as a leader. I was able to work as a dean. Well, I taught math at this high school in Boca Raton, Florida. And at that point, it was the 22nd ranked most rigorous school in the nation. And it was, I believe, the only public high school that was in that ranking. And just being able to learn from Dr. McKee was awesome. Be able to see how he was able to turn a school that was originally like a CB school to an A school and being one of the top in the nation. And then I had the opportunity to be a dean, working alongside that to see how you can utilize your resources to really impact students. Before that, my first teaching experience was at Griffin Middle School. So being able to see Miss Gwendolyn Thomas, a Black leader, be able to try to support a school where pretty much every student on that campus were below the poverty line, and just to try to make an impact on that campus taught me a lot. So bounced from Title I, had a great leader there, to more of an affluent school in Boca Raton, Florida, to going to another school where it's 81% of our students were on free and reduced lunch at Santaluces High School. Mrs. Tamika Robinson, who was another Black leader who taught me a lot of principles as well, on how you can have a school, be a leader of a school that's with the challenges that it has, but still have success academically, and to be able to make sure that kids are achieving and going somewhere in life. So those experiences awesome. And then I came to Bellevue and was able to learn from Dr. Lexa Allman, who's in Eastern Washington right now. And then my mentor, Dr. John Belcher, Dr. Saltzman as well. Dr. Lancaster, who was my supervisor for my first year as a principal. And also Larry Fleckenstein, who's been very supportive of my career. So I always look at these different leaders that I've worked under and always try to learn a little bit from each of them.
Sure.
Because they all, will have had an impact on my life and how I lead today.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that with us, brother. But Dr. Gideon, we've come to the end of our show, but before you leave, could you please give our viewers and our listeners some parting words of wisdom? Tell us how we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Dr. Will G, or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm someone that is always willing to support and help others. If there's any guidance or direction you need for your career, or whether you're a teacher or an administrator, you can hit me up and I'll be able to be supportive in those areas.
Man, I really appreciate you. I want to thank you so much. I'm glad I connected with you. We both in the same state, so this won't be the last time you'll hear from me, my brother. I really appreciate you. I feel like I've met a new friend and colleague, so thank you so much for coming on the show. We wish you all the best during this school year, and we will definitely stay in touch, my brother. All the best.
All right, man. Enjoy.
Take care, brother.